I want to start with talking about people who give based on religious observances. I try to stay away from politics and religion on this podcast, but I have shared that I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and our faith is very common for people to give 10% in tithe plus a liberal offering when you look at their religious contributions to their church. But that's not the only religion that we serve. And I will tell you that when people come to me and they're giving a set percentage because they feel led to by their religion, or it's strongly encouraged, or it's required, that's never something where we tell them, oh, you're giving too much. If you said you're giving 50% to your religious organization because that's what you've chosen to do, you're not going to hear me say, oh, you need to dial that back. Where I will give input, however, is telling you how that impacts the rest of your finances and let you understand the consequence of giving that much. Not a consequence in a negative way, but a consequence of just understanding the path that you've chosen to follow based on how much you're contributing. As an example, let's say that you have someone who starts with 100% of their paycheck, and on average they pay 20 cents per every dollar in taxes. Well, now they're at 80% of their check right off the bat. Maybe they decide that they wanted to save 15% of their income because they saw online that that's how much you're supposed to save. Well, now they've gone from 80% down to 65%. If they've decided that they're going to give another 10 to 15% of their check towards religious observances, we're talking about actually spending 50 to 55% of what you make. But in most cases, people can't live off of 50 to 55% of their check. And it's not always due to lack of discipline. It could just be they live in a very expensive area. So when it comes to the thing that gets cut, it's often not the religious observances, it's how much you're able to save. So you look at someone who decides, hey, I'm committed to giving that 10 or 15%, but now it means that my savings rate is 2% or 5%, and that's not enough to do what I need to do financially. And I've had this conversation with friends where I say, hey, part of the faith walk, if that's the walk that you're walking, is saying, hey, I understand that if I'm going to make this level of contribution, it means that I'm going to have to lean on that higher power in which I believe so strongly to make up the gaps. But it also means that there are other areas of my finances that are going to look different than most. It's highly unlikely, if that's your path, that you're going to save your way to wealth. It's more likely that you're going to build up income sources or have to build up a business, in my instance, where you're hoping that there's some valuation from that business that you could sell for a profit. Or you may have to work longer, where you look at people who are in certain religions and it's like, hey, if I were able to not give that 10, 15% of my pay towards my religious institution, there's the potential that I could be further ahead financially. But because of that commitment, I'm working a little longer. And to me, as long as you're okay with that being your circumstance, that's fine with me. But having that understanding is crucial when you're talking about how much to give for religious observances.